Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio. And now, here's our host, Dr. Vanessa Anceloni.
Hello, dear listener. This is Dr. Anceloni, and we are here at Kardec Radio to talk about a very important topic. It's about the body, spirit, the mind, and how blood, our beautiful circulation, has a very important role in all of it. And we have an expert in the field. I think he is probably the leader in the field worldwide and one of the few that is really specialized in this very topic. We're going to rely upon several references, but mostly the book, The Spiritual Mysteries of Blood, Its Power to Transform Body, Mind, and Spirit by Dr. Christopher Vasey. He's talking to us directly from Switzerland, and we are really rejoiced and grateful to him because he's spending his time today with us at Kardec Radio. And this message goes so much hand in hand with some of the teachings we've got from the spirit doctor André Luiz through Chico Xavier in books such as Evolution into Worlds, Mechanisms of Mediumship. We're going to discuss this later. But Dr. Vasey brings an information that can be life-transforming. It can really change the way we experience this very incarnation. And you know more about it. If you want to talk to him, you can call us here at 858-769-4705, or you can send us an email at kardecradio@gmail.com. And if you are online at the Kardec Radio chat room, we are here too, so we can listen from you directly, okay? Now, right now, if you also want to listen to Spiritist talks that are happening live, you can log on to spiritistsymposium.org/live and listen to the talks that are happening in Stamford, Connecticut as part of the 8th U.S. Spiritist Symposium organized by the United States Spiritist Council. Just go there, spiritistsymposium.org/live, and get to know and listen to the talks that are happening right now. It's just today, and we're just going to have this interview with Dr. Vasey, and soon after you connect with the symposium and spend your day listening to the beautiful talks and getting more and more information to really boost your life, okay? Well, there are many other things that are happening around the world. If you go to the website of the British Union of Spiritist Societies, you get to know about events that are happening around the world. By the way, for those who are planning on coming to Divaldo Franco's events, in Europe, he had to cancel his remaining trip because of a pneumonia. Well, he's an 87, almost 88-year-old man, and he has been doing a wonderful job. But let us pray for him today. Pray that he recovers fast and that he keeps on his journey of illumination, sharing so much goodness around the world. Right now, as we begin the program, we remind ourselves that Allan Kardec himself, when writing the book, the Spirit's book, 158 years ago, he talked about how much the body will influence the spirit, whatever we do to the body. And of course, the spirit is ruling the body. So we need to know this two-way road, how it works. And we have an expert here, Dr. Christopher Vasey. He's speaking to us directly from Switzerland, and we're really grateful for it. Before I open the line to talk to him, I would like to share with you a message about one of the beautiful visualization CDs that you can buy at the bookstore of the Spiritist Society of Baltimore, ssbaltimore.org. and it's titled Inner Journey. It's brought in by the mediumship of Divaldo Franco. Let us listen to this after this message. Dr. Christopher Vasey here with us.
Would you like to liberate yourself from your life struggles or to find inner balance? The Inner Journey CD has 3 beautiful visualizations that will help you bring harmony to your life. As Joanna DeAngeli tells us to, live in a way that you leave enlightening footprints in your pathway as if they were stars pointing out the pathway to happiness. To find this CD, go to the bookstore on the Spiritist Society of Baltimore webpage, www.ssbaltimore.org. That is www.ssbaltimore.org, and start your inner journey today.
Dear listener, we had a very short break today because we want to go straight to the message. Dr. Vasey is here with us. Thank you so much, Dr. Christopher Vasey, for being with us at Kardec Radio today. How are you?
Yeah, hello, Vanessa. Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm fine. It's raining, but I'm fine. Thank you.
Well, it's spring there too, right? So.
Yes.
Right? It's spring.
It's really spring with a lot of blossom and flowers, yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Dr. Vasey, I want to introduce you to our listeners here. I know you've been working on the naturopathic field. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey in being a naturopathic doctor, please?
Yes. Well, it's all started because when I was a student, I lived in a small flat with my brother, and it was a time where vegetarianism was in. And we started to stop eating meat and eating only, the rest of the food available. And at that time, I saw 2 people who got sick, and even that I didn't know anything about health, I could see that it was because the way they were eating and living made them ill. And sometime, a few weeks after, there was a talk in town from a naturopath, and I went to listen to it, and I was so enthusiastic of all he said, because he told us that there were laws of nature, that the way we lived had an influence on the way our body functioned. It could make it ill, or if we respected the laws of nature, then we'll have a body which is strong and will fight against all the illnesses easily. And I was so enthusiastic that I asked him straight away, where did he learn all that? And he told me the school, and I switched to that kind of studying natural medicine in a school in Paris. And then I opened my practice, and then started giving courses on the subjects, and then the books started. I started to write books on the subject to make all these helps available to more people.
It's amazing how many books you have written already, and some of them, like for example, the acid alkaline diet for optimum health. I think it's becoming more mainstream, the awareness about that type of balance, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, because it's the title seems a bit maybe cold and not very interesting. The acid alkaline diets for optimum health, but it's very important because, in fact, there must be a balance between the acids and the alkaline substance in our body. But the way we eat nowadays, the way we live, all the stress, lack of sleep and everything, makes our body very acidic, and this gives birth to many different kind of illnesses. So many people are suffering from these illnesses, but they're not aware of the cause of it, because the cause is in this presence of too much acids in the body. But as soon as they learn that it is so, and correct their diets, live a bit differently, then they feel they can cure the illnesses or get much better. It's a great help, especially that many people now, I would say more than 50% of the population has this kind of problems.
Yes, and it's so interesting. I find in your journey, in your website, ChristopherVasey.ch, and people can see it in English, in French, and in Spanish, in German, right?
German.
In German, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting that I find that through your journey, you also have opened this pathway of self-knowledge that is the spiritual pathway. So what happened for you to go into this more self-knowledge spiritual field? What made you open up to that level?
I was treating people who were ill and reflecting, thinking about what's the cause of this illness and on the laws of nature. And I was also interested in fate and astrology and different things. I was searching, but I didn't know what. And one day I talked with someone who always gave me such clear answers, logical answers on spiritual questions. And I asked him, but where do you know all that? And he told me it was in a book whose title is In the Light of Truth, The Grail Message by Abdroshin. And so I bought the book, started to read it, and I discovered so many explanations that answered all my questions and gave me a real picture of what was life, what a human being is, where does it come from, why is it here on Earth. So the Grail Message was really a great help for me. And that's when I started to write books to introduce different subjects which were given, and different knowledge which were given in the book, The Grail Message, to help people find the way to this book in order to take advantage of all the knowledge which was in it. And one of the subjects is the role of the blood.
All right. Very interesting. Because, as we understand, we are living in this incarnation, this physical body, and so many people think, just taking care of their spirituality is enough, and they forget that being truly spiritual means respecting the physical body and learning about it. So self-knowledge is not only about the psyche, it's also about our true composition, the composition of the physical body too, right?
Yes, exactly. A human being on earth is a spirit incarnated in a physical body, and the spirit is submitted to the spiritual laws of nature and the body, the laws of health. And we have to respect both. So on both levels, we've got to follow the laws. I think that's a thing that many people don't realize. We cannot choose how things are run down here on Earth. It has been planned by the creator of the universe, of creation, and he wants that things happen in a certain way, and this will of his are the laws of nature, the spiritual laws. And we have to learn to live according to these laws, and if we do, we'll be happy, healthy, and very happy. And but if we don't, then, well, we won't be so happy or even very sad and have a lot of problems.
Yes, that's beautiful. So when you wrote the book, The Spiritual Mysteries of Blood, and by going through some of it, it came to my mind a few teachings that I read here and there in the books by Dr. André Luiz through Chico Xavier, in which he mentions that our blood is the connection between us spirits and the physical body. What do you say about that, Dr. Vasey?
Yeah, I agree. It's already in the Bible, in fact, that the spirit, the soul is in the blood. And that's why in some religions they always take all the blood out of the animals before they eat the meat of the animals. But in the Grail Message, it explains more in detail why and how the blood is the bridge or the link between the spirits and the physical body. And that's what was so captivating for me, because I had experienced many times that people came to me to be cured of very physical ailments such as rheumatism or eczema, But when they were cured, they would tell me also, now I feel much better. I was also always a bit depressed, but now it's finished. Or others would say, I was always had a loss, a lack of drive or sadness and so forth, but now it's gone. And I asked myself, but how is it possible for a diet and taking plants for the liver and so forth could lead to such a result? And the answer is that I found in the Grail message, it's in relation with the blood. So that depending on the composition of the blood, it will influence the solidity of the link, the quality of the link, and therefore we as a spirit will feel well or unwell in relation to these changes, these lacks in the composition.
It's interesting because you mentioned in the book something related to the original theory of Hippocrates about the theory of humorism, the 4 different temperaments. So,
yes.
Do you think there is some veracity to it?
Yes. Well, the usual way to talk about temperaments is that it's a kind of the way the body is built. In some a group of people, it's more the heart and the lungs which are developed more than the other organs, and they are said that to belong to the sanguine temperament. Others, it's more the brain and the nervous system from the melancholic temperament and so forth. But what is explained in the Grail message is that these 4 temperaments, sanguine, melancholic, choleric, and lymphatic temperaments, are also act on the psyche of the person, the way he feels, his attitude towards life, and that it's in relation with the blood composition, and that during our life, our blood composition for everybody changes at least 4 times, which brings us in 4 different periods of our life, which are characterized by one of the temperaments. Just to give an example, a child has a certain blood composition which corresponds to the sanguine temperament, that is people who are happy, going, free, no sense of responsibility, just happy to try everything and so forth. And that's typically the way children are. I'm giving a bit of a caricature of the temperament, but then it's when the child reaches adolescence, he's a teenager, the blood composition changes, and then he loses this lack of seriousness, just not caring of anything, but just going forwards happily without thinking. An adolescent, a teenager, thinks a lot, begins to be conscious of responsibility, and this great inner change which takes place is due to this change of blood composition. And then comes the 2 other periods, adulthood and then old age, with also changes of blood composition and temperament.
I see. So, so can you tell us, in this book, The Spiritual Mysteries of Blood, its power to transform body, mind, and spirit, it explains how the blood communicates between the spirit and the body, and how diets, vitamins, etc. So, for example, nowadays, especially in spring season, people have seasonal allergies. Is there anything there to do with the diet or other things that are triggering the allergy?
Yeah. Well, allergy is a reaction of the body, of the human system against something which is felt as being an aggressor, an attacker, but which for most people is not an attacker. And that's a peculiarity of the human system of some people. It's weak, it's hyper-reactive, and therefore they have this problem. And basically what happens, they have too many substance in the blood and in the tissues, which are called, I can't remember the name now, well, never mind. And they overreact when the the pollen, for example, or comes into their nose. And it's a deficiency of the immune system and also a weakness of the suprarenal glands, which should secrete cortisone. Cortisone is well known because it's sold, it's a medicine, a remedy, but in fact it's something which our body produces. But some people can't produce enough of it or not of a good enough quality, and they have an inflammation which starts now hay fever, for example, with in the nose and the eyes, an inflammation, and which makes them sneeze and they cry a lot, the runny nose and so forth. So basically, one thing which can be, I'm going to give you a remedy, a natural remedy, which is very good for it and very effective, and has no side effect like making you sleep and so forth. It's a plant. It's black currant buds. It's the buds of black currant. Black currant leaves have been very often used against as an anti-inflammatory remedy, but here it's the buds, and it's prepared in a mother tincture. That you can find in the United States, a mother tincture of black currant buds. And the way to take it is to take 3 times a day with water before the meals, 30 to 50 drops of this remedy. And the person will very soon see that it calms the inflammation, that is the runny nose, the sneezing, not in a few hours, but after 5-10 minutes, the effect already starts. In fact, what the plant does is to stimulate our suprarenal glands to produce cortisone in order to calm down the inflammation and the allergy. That's a good remedy to know about for all the people who are a little bit allergic. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. So it's quite fascinating how when you talk also about emotions that are related, because it's not only the diet but emotions. You talk about spiritual imbalances too, and how they will affect. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. Maybe I should start by saying if the blood composition changes, for example, if we have a lack of sugar in the blood, we are in a hypoglycemia, and first the body becomes very tired, but then appears psychic changes. The person becomes very anxious and afraid. Things that she has done every day without thinking become problems, even huge problems. And in fact, nothing has changed outwardly. The person can even ask its surrounding, is the situation as dramatic as I feel it? And they will say, no, it's just like yesterday. But what has changed is the blood composition and blood radiation of the blood, and the spirit is not linked correctly to the body and puts the person in a state of anxiety, panic. This is due to the change of blood composition, and to cure such a situation, the person has to eat something which is sweet, and after 5-10 minutes, the blood composition is in order again, and the person will not be afraid or panic anymore. And that shows, I could give other examples with the lack of each vitamins and minerals. It's always the same thing. A change in the blood composition changes the frame of mind, the attitudes of the person concerned. That is, the spirit is not linked correctly and feels unwell in a way or another. But this is the influence from the body to the spirit, but the spirit can also influence and change the blood composition. I mean, each time that we change our attitude towards life, if, for example, someone is very afraid, we as a spirit were afraid of a situation, it will act on the blood composition and change it. There will be adrenaline in it, and we will then feel, if we are afraid, we'll have adrenaline, and all our frame of mind will be to be more ready to defend ourselves. the change in blood composition will bring a functioning of the body which is different, which enables us to fight better against the problems which can arise or the situation. And if someone has this kind of blood composition, he stays in the same frame of mind as long as it's the same. But as soon as he changes his frame of mind, the blood composition will change, and you will have a different attitude towards life.
I see.
I mean, sometimes we... Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I mean, sometimes we feel... suddenly we realize that we are answering everybody around us in an impatient manner. We are not happy with them. We're impatient, a bit aggressive. And we ask ourselves, but why am I like that? Why am I always acting in an aggressive, impatient way suddenly? And the reason is that probably an hour ago or beforehand, if we go back, follow the course of events, we'll see that 1 or 2 hours before someone has upset us, that we became aggressive, impatient within us, in our spirit. And this brings a change of blood composition in which we stay, and that's why we go on acting in the same way until we change our attitude and the blood composition changes.
I see. And we have here with us Jay from Hawaii. He's here asking us at the chat room at Kardec Radio a few questions, Dr. Vasey.
Yes.
First question he asks is, if we know some aspects of physical body on how it works, then we would know how perceptions are formed and how to deal with them?
I don't understand the question.
Okay.
Sorry.
Let me try repeating. If we
please.
know some aspects of the physical body on how it works, then would we know how perceptions are formed and how to deal with them? I think you were just mentioning this, right? How the unsettled. Yeah. Please go ahead.
For me, the true ego of man is the spirit. I think it's for you too, the same thing. And all our psychic activity takes place in the spirit. When we are incarnated in a physical body, we've got a computer at our disposal in the head, which is the brain. So the brain, contrary to what science says, is not the true ego of man. It's just a tool in the hands of our spirit. So the way we perceive the world around us is more in relation with the spirit. But depending on if our body is healthy or not, is lacking in vitamins, minerals, is overexcited with drugs and so forth, we will perceive things differently.
Yeah, it's a two-way road, as Allan Kardec mentioned, right? I mean, though the spirit is ruling over the physical body, but whatever happens to the physical body is going to affect the expression of the spirit, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So he's also asking about some foods that we eat. Nowadays, many people are talking about the bad side of GMO foods. What do you think about it?
Well, nature is offering us a whole range of foods where we live, which are meant to help our body be healthy and build a good blood composition so that our spirit can be well linked to the physical body. Now, if we eat foods which are genetically modified, well, they're not planned by nature, they're planned by man, and they might be okay, but they probably are not okay because if they were good or better, they would have been planned by nature, and by nature I mean by the creator of nature. So I think it's a big danger to eat genetically modified foods because first we don't know anything about the effects, and very probably the effects will be bad on us because it's not planned by nature that we eat such kind of foods. If we think about it, nature offers us a whole range of foods which are good to eat, tasty and everything, and good for our health. There's no need for us to change to try and do better or different. My attitude is just let's eat what nature gives us.
Mm-hmm. But in this case, as you're talking about eat what nature gives to us, let's go back to one of the issues that you mentioned at the very beginning of the program about eating meat. Because, we know there was a time in which humans needed it because it was a different time, a different labor-intensive work. Nowadays, there is a different awareness by science, too. According to your studies, what do you say about it?
Yes. Meat is something which helps the spirit to be better, more strongly, deeply incarnated in the physical body. If you look at people who eat a lot of meat, their spirit is really, they're well in their body. They like to feel physically what's going around. They like to eat, drink. It's a caricature, but it's true. Meat helps. It pushes the body to produce a lot of blood which is very strong and helps the body to be well incarnated. So, but as we learn in natural medicine, too much meat gives a lot of toxins and can bring give a lot of illness, different kind of illnesses. So the general idea is in natural medicine is to cut out the meat or eat very little of it in order not to have too much toxins. But the problem is that I would add something else now that I know about the secrets of the blood, as I explain in my book. It helps the spirit to incarnate. If someone is very incarnated and wants, then it's good for him to eat far less meat or even cut it out for a certain time. But there are other people who are not well incarnated and they suffer from it physically because the body is weak, and psychically also because they don't feel safe, they're not self-confident, they're a bit always floating in the air, it's an expression, or they don't have their 2 feet well on the ground. And for these people, I think it would be better to keep meat in their diets in order to help the spirits stay well incarnated. And also I would suggest that when someone decides to cut out the meat, that he doesn't do it from one day to another, but takes time to eat less meat, maybe start with eating less. That's what the suggestion in the Grail message. Eat first white meat instead of red one, and then fish, and slowly, then I'm talking now, and slowly cutting out, eating less and less meat in order for the body to get used to function without meat.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Dr. Vasey, we are really appreciating everything you're sharing, but we have to give a very short break. When we come back, we have more questions for you, okay?
Yes, fine.
We will return to our program after these messages.
Books of André Louis. Through the hands of the most prolific medium of all times, Chico Javier, the spirit doctor André Louis wrote a series of books that unveil the mechanisms of life and life after life. From the best-selling novel No Solar, Our Home, to And Life Goes On, the reader will find illumination for a fulfilled life on Earth as well as immortal happiness. Check the many titles available at the international distributor, EDI CEI of America. Their website is www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Spread the word. Kardec Radio, to learn more about Spiritism.
Spiritist Network, your gateway to on-demand Spiritist videos. www.spiritistnetwork.com.
Nourish your soul with Kardec Radio. Traveling to another country? Immigrating elsewhere? Prepare yourself by reading the book Among Brothers of Other Lands, in which several loving and wise spirits wrote through the hands of Chico Xavier and Waldo Vieira, telling all of us the tips and hints of a successful transition to a new land. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Do you want spiritist books for your children? At Edicei of America, you'll find a collection of them, from the best-selling book, Our Father, in which the Spirit Mei Mei, through Chico Xavier, brought countless poems, stories, and folk tales based on the Lord's Prayer, to the beautiful and educational collection by the author Edailson Salles on Back to School and many others. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
And now we return to our program.
Dear listener, we are here talking about taking care of body and spirit according to the messages we have received in Kardec's books. And I say this because everything we are talking about here is so universal that you can find the teachings in the Grail Message and better explained by Dr. Christopher Vasey, who is talking to us directly from Switzerland, and we are having a wonderful time learning from him. Dr. Vasey, in your book, The Spiritual Messages of Blood, you also talk about, from the perspective of self-knowledge, how blood influences the spirit. So let me go back one step and ask you a question. How can we get to know about our type so we can better customize our diet and our other habits to have a more radiant blood?
Yes. When you talk about types, blood groups, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the basic idea is that depending on our blood composition, our spirit will be correctly linked to our body or not, and therefore we'll be able to act well as we want in a joyful way here on Earth. But by blood composition, I mean more than just the blood types. There are 4 blood types, but A, B, and O, and that's one of the characteristic of blood composition. Mm-hmm. But there's also the number of vitamins, minerals in it, and other things that probably we don't know yet about. There are many different factors which come into the blood composition, and we should take them all in account, not one after the other, but globally. I mean, if someone has a good blood composition, he feels well physically and also psychically. I mean, he's got drive, he's positive, he's acting in a respectful way, he has love for his neighbor. It's not only dependent on the blood, of course, it's the spirit which wants to act like that, but he's able to go in that direction. But as soon as someone feels or is anxiety or is depressed or has fears, lack of self-confidence, irritability, aggressivity, this is not normal, and it's partly, of course, due to the spirit, which takes the decisions to always be irritated instead of calm and respectful, but it can also be triggered by blood composition which is not correct anymore, because the person is, for example, eating in a way which brings a lot of different vitamin lacks. There's a lack of vitamin B1 or C and so forth, or minerals or proteins even in the first place, and which will put the person in a bad state of mind. And the good news is that it is possible to correct help to correct these attitudes or frame of mind by changing the diet of people. Just to show that changing diet can have an effect on the psyche. Many people nowadays follow a diet to cure themselves of something very physical, and they can notice that, well, they're getting better physically, but their attitude towards life changes. They are more respectful, or their interests change. They are more serene, peaceful, less aggressive, and so forth. It's something many, many people have experienced, and it shows that the change of diets can have an effect on the psyche. Now, of course, the change is different for everybody because the situation of the person is different. But in my book, I explain how it is possible to observe and how we function and how to change. Basically, it's done in the following manner. We have to see what the person eats during a day. I mean, to establish a standard menu, what he eats and drinks when he wakes up, when he at breakfast, when he has a break, at midday, supper, and so forth. And by then studying what the person eats, one can see that some kind of foods are lacking, some are there in much too big quantities in relation with the others. There's an imbalance. Some foods are all processed foods, and so forth. And by correcting these mistakes or imbalance, it is possible to bring a diet which is very close to what the person needs for building a good blood composition which will enable the spirit to be correctly linked to the body.
So here, Dr. Vasey, as you're explaining this for the listener who is connected to us, understand better, the goal is, like you made an analogy between the body and computer. So if you have a good working computer, you can do your works and perform much better than if you have a computer that is slow, that have viruses, etc. So the spirit, if we have a physical body that is enabling us to express ourselves, we will live an incarnation much more fully, right?
Exactly, yeah. I would just like to add something. Changing the diet of someone doesn't change the spirit, but it helps the spirit change itself. Because if we improve inwardly, we become more respectful and we have more love to our neighbor. It's because we, as a spirit, make the efforts and we work in that direction. The food will not just change our spirit, but it will change the possibility of the spirit to act through the physical body. And as you said, as if the computer is slow, is doing mistakes the whole time, well, the work we do is not very good. And it's the same with the spirit. If the physical body is not in order, the blood composition is not correct, well, it has much more difficulties leading a life which is an experiencing life in order to learn and improve.
And it's interesting you're mentioning this, and I'm going to mention about something that happened recently in the United States. Since I still work in Baltimore, I have a connection with the city. We had this huge problem with the riots and everything, violence in the city, which really escalated to a level that we didn't expect. And I know that, the population who was involved in it, their nutrition, I know there are many social problems, and that's the reason for the lack of good food, and they eat fast food, they eat very highly processed food, etc. So you can tell the physical body is not functioning well, so the spirit cannot express it to its best, and we keep ourselves too low, right, in the denser parts of our expression.
Yeah. If you compare the food that nature gives us, full of taste, vitamins, and so forth, and then you compare it to food which is highly processed, full of sugar, fat, and so forth, there's such a difference of energy between the two that, of course, the body nourished with fast food and so forth, and Coca-Cola and similar foods is badly nourished, cannot function the same way. The blood composition is lacking in many things and has also many poisons and things which changes the link from the body to the spirit. It is really a problem. Of course, there's also the political situation, which is a good reason not to be happy. But it was observed by doctors, that a lot of delinquents, I'm not talking about the riots, but in general, delinquents had a blood composition which was not good. It was not in the average. And there was a study in England, in an English prison, where they gave the prisoners who wanted to vitamins, supplements, better food, in order to try and correct this blood composition. And what the result of the inquiry was that there were far less fights between the people in the prison. They were less aggressive. They had a much more positive view of things and attitude towards life. There was really a big change, and that only with changing the foods. So it shows that it has an influence.
Wow, it's amazing. It's incredible. And we have a listener here, Paula, who is asking us about her experiences with sinusitis due to the seasonal allergy. I know we discussed this a little bit before, but I'm just relaying the question because she's specifically tailoring it to sinusitis and this feeling of, fogginess of the mind.
Yeah. Well, in this illness, there are too many toxins in the sinuses, which should not be there, in fact. And the basic idea in natural medicine is that our body has a composition which is ideal, but it can the composition of the terrain, the internal environment of the body, is of a certain kind which guarantees health. But it can be changed, modified by the presence of an excess of toxins, of waste products, which are not correctly eliminated by the liver, the intestines, the kidneys, and so forth, and therefore stay in the body, and the body cannot live and stay healthy with all those toxins, so it tries to get rid of them by an exit or another. And it can be the skin, and the person will have eczema, or it can be the respiratory tract, and the person will have asthma or bronchitis or sinusitis. And therefore, what we would do in natural medicine is to detoxify the body of the excess of toxins by stimulating the liver, the intestines mainly, and also try and change the diet of the person in order that not too many toxins come with the food that the person eats. Well, I don't want to go too much in the details, but I've written a book which is Optimal Detox, and which explains what kind of toxins are the cause of such an illness and how to get rid of them.
That's very interesting. Yeah, you have several books, and this is another one, Optimal Detox, How to Cleanse Your Body of Colloidal and Crystalline Toxins. By the way, dear listener, if you want to know more about all the books, CDs, videos, articles, and have direct contact with Dr. Vasey, go to the website Christopher Vasey, VASEY.ch, and you can get a hold about the whole information. As he mentioned before, he relies a lot upon the foundational knowledge of the book In the Light of the Truth, the Grail Message, which also can be found at the website grailmessage.com. For those who are available today to go through a journey of Spiritist talks, the 8th U.S. Spiritist Symposium is happening right now in Stamford, Connecticut, and it's going to be the whole day. And if you're not there, if you're there, go, run to the place. Just Google or go to spiritistsymposium.org and get to know about how you get there. If you cannot be there physically, you can listen to the talks, watch it online, spiritistsymposium.org/live, and watch the talks as well. Now, Dr. Vasey, as we are, heading to the last part of our program, you talk again much about the spirit in this incarnation, and you have other books too, from the Health and the Laws of Nature, and there is a specific one, The Secret of Birth, which is very interesting, and people can download the PDF copy of it. Can you tell us about why you decided to compile the information that you made available in this book, please?
Well, the mystery, The Secret of Birth, it tackles the question. Well, we know that the spirit, we human beings are a spirit in a physical body, and the question is, how does the spirit comes into the physical body? Well, we all heard also about the astral body. The spirit is surrounded by different ethereal cloaks, the densest being the astral body, and it incarnates in the physical body. And what I add with the talk about the blood is that the blood is an extra link which helps the spirit to really be well incarnated in the physical body. But about birth now, and more, how does the spirit incarnate in the physical body? It incarnates also thanks to the blood. As the blood is the link, the bridge to the spirit, there must be also a relation there.
Dr. Vasey, we really appreciate your time here. It's just because of time we have to wrap up the interview, but we hope to have you more often at Kardec Radio. We learned so much today. And what would you like to share with the listeners around the world who are here with us as your final comments today, please?
I would say that our society and culture is a materialist culture, which believes that only matter exists and that we only live once and so forth.
Yeah.
But we know, human beings know from a long time already that we are a spirit incarnated here on earth, and our journey leads us after the earth to the beyond, and then finally to the spiritual plane, in which we can go back into as soon as we have developed all the spiritual faculties that we have in us. And to do that, we've got to be able to aware that that's our goal, so that we think not only for this earth life, but we develop, improve within, develop our spiritual faculties, respect to our neighbors, perseverance, being kind, helpful, supportive, and being creative, because all that we do now in this direction helps our spirit to develop, and our spirit, when it leaves the physical body, will take this all with it and go on improving, if that's its wish. And when it reincarnates, it will go on improving. But the aim should not be forgotten. It's to go back into the spiritual plane, which is at the top of creation. And that's when life really begins, because all this journey we're doing now is just the school of life to give us the time to learn and develop.
Oh, wonderful. Dr. Vasey, thank you again and again for everything that you do and for being with us at Kardec Radio. We hope to have you more often here, okay? Thank you.
Yes, well, thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye. Dear listener, we are delighted. I know many of you would like to ask more questions, but we promise you we'll try to get Dr. Vasey here soon in the near future so he can share more and more information. By the way, go to his website, ChristopherVasey.ch. Christopher, VASEY.ch, and get to know more about his many books. He has videos, CDs, etc. Everything that he's bringing to us in so many ways are correlated to the teachings of Kardec and Spiritism in general. As he said, we are spirits living in an incarnate life, so we need to respect life as a whole, physical, spiritual. And when we talk about the physical body is our instrument, so let us learn about it too. It's interesting because Allan Kardec himself asked this question to the spirits, what can we do to progress and to avoid mistakes? And he says, know yourself. That's what the spirit said. Self-knowledge. And Dr. Vasey here brings to us tools for this self-knowledge. And self-knowledge is not only about the spirit, but about the instrument of the spirit, the physical body. We need to know about it. And, as he said, Dr. Vasey said, when you know about it, we're more caring and loving and compassionate and fraternal. We can express solidarity towards others because life is not only about ourselves, it's about humanity as a whole. And we know humanity is not on the earth only. It's in many, many locations. Right now, as we are in closing the program, we'd like to invite you for our final moments, which is a prayer. We're going to dedicate this prayer to several things. To the earthquake victims of Nepal, to Divaldo Franco, who is recovering, to the ones that are excited, still too agitated, I would say, in their minds regarding the case of Freddie Gray in Baltimore City, Maryland, in the United States, and to anyone who is in need around the world. So let us pray now together, because prayer is a way also to find inner balance. Dear Mother, Father God, thank you for the opportunity of living and of being incarnated, for the teachings that were today shared so kindly by Dr. Christopher Vasey, for illuminating his pathway, which illuminates many others. May we take this moment to ask for relief and consolation, new hope to those who transitioned back to the spiritual realm through the earthquake in Nepal. May the surviving families also find the help that they need to begin anew, knowing that they are not alone, that helping hands are always around. May those who are proposing themselves to reach out to everyone there also find strength and courage to keep on doing it. We also pray for the need of peace in the city of Baltimore, calming down the agitation of so many. May social justice come together with peace, with greater understanding and forgiveness. And may our dear Divaldo Franco receive our gratitude and the multiplication of it so he can heal and continue his journey always. Thank you, and so be it. Dear listener, we now want to remind you, if you finish Kardec Radio now, log in spiritysymposium.org/live and connect with the live talks that are happening today, only today, during the whole day, on the 8th U.S. Spiritist Symposium organized by the United States Spiritist Council. By the way, next Saturday, Josiah Korngold is going to be here talking about the release of the new book, which was translated from French by the United States Spiritist Council, After Death, by Leon Denis. And she's going to be discussing this and much more here. Don't forget, tomorrow, Sunday, 8 p.m., we'll be connected with you through Spiritist Awareness, hosts from around the world sharing the message that illuminates and transforms. And then on Wednesday, Franziska Kranz from Germany with Mackenzie Mello in the United States are sharing with you another beautiful chapter of the book No Solar. Soon after, on Thursday, Vanessa Childs from Seattle is broadcasting another Spiritist talk for you. This is all here for you at Kardec Radio. We are here to nourish your soul. Have a wonderful day and many blessings.
Thank you for listening to Kardec Radio, broadcasting live every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Email us and share your comments at www.kardecradio.com. Until next time, we wish you many blessings.